I've never been one to believe in the supernatural. Ghost stories, haunted houses, those were just tales to scare children, right? But what happened to me in that old village house changed everything I thought I knew about reality. It was a night like no other, and it's a story I feel compelled to share with you. But before we dive into the chilling events of that fateful night, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Now, let's go back to where it all began. It started with the wind. At first, it was just a gentle breeze, nothing out of the ordinary. But as the night deepened, the wind grew stronger, almost as if it carried a message, a warning. I tried to brush it off, thinking it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But then I heard it. A sound, faint at first, like footsteps crunching on gravel. It was coming from the direction of the old forest behind the house. I stared into the darkness, my eyes struggling to make out any shapes or movement. I wasn't sure what I was seeing. A figure standing still, just beyond the tree line. It didn't move, didn't make a sound. It simply stood there, as if waiting for something or someone. I told myself it was just a trick of the light, maybe the shadows playing games. But deep down, I knew. This was just the beginning. I couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was out there, watching. I tried to focus on other things, but my mind kept drifting back to that shadowy figure. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to take another look. And there it was again. The figure hadn't moved. It stood there, barely visible in the moonlight, like a statue carved out of shadow. I couldn't see its face, but I felt its gaze piercing through the darkness, straight at me. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, maybe a tree or some trick of the light, but deep down, I knew better. There was something unnatural about the way it stood, completely still, yet somehow menacing. Then I heard it. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, approaching the front door. My heart raced. Who or what could it be, out here in the middle of nowhere? I knew I should lock the door, call for help, do something. But instead, I stood there, paralyzed by a fear I couldn't explain, waiting for whatever was out there to make its next move. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought it might burst out of my chest. For a moment, there was complete silence, as if the whole world was holding its breath. I couldn't move. My legs felt like they were rooted to the ground. Who could be knocking at this hour in such a remote place? Every instinct in me screamed not to open the door, but I had to know. I opened the door just a crack, enough to see outside, but there was nothing. No one standing there. Just the empty darkness and the wind howling through the trees. I'm still here. I locked the door as fast as I could, my mind racing. I didn't know what I had just heard, or if I had heard it at all. But one thing was certain, I was no longer alone. The knocking didn't stop. It grew louder, more insistent, as if whatever was out there was determined to get in. And I realized there was no escape from whatever had come for me that night. The knocking was relentless, each thud echoing through the house like a heartbeat. I felt trapped, suffocated by the walls around me. Whatever was outside wasn't going to give up, and I knew I couldn't hide forever. I thought about running, escaping through the back door or a window, but where would I go? The nearest neighbor was miles away, and the forest outside was dark and unforgiving. I was completely alone. Suddenly the knocking stops, plunging the house into an eerie silence. The protagonist freezes, their eyes darting toward the door. And then, silence. For a moment, I thought it was over, that whatever it was had given up. But deep down, I knew better. This was the calm before the storm. I saw it again, the shadow moving around the house. It wasn't just standing there anymore. It was searching, circling, waiting for the right moment to strike. That's when I heard it. Footsteps inside the house. My mind raced. How did it get in? Was it already here, hiding in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment? I was trapped, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper. I knew I was facing something far beyond my understanding, and I had no idea how to survive the night. I don't remember how long I sat there, waiting, listening to the silence. Every second felt like an eternity. The footsteps had stopped, and the house had fallen into an unsettling calm. When morning finally came, the first rays of sunlight pierced through the window, casting away the shadows. I cautiously opened the door, stepping outside to find nothing. No signs of anyone or anything that had haunted me that night. I wish I could say it was over, that I was free from the nightmare, but even now, I can still feel it. The presence, the eyes watching me from the darkness. And every night, I wonder, will it come back? So, if you ever hear strange footsteps or a knock in the middle of the night, don't open the door. You might not be as lucky as I was.